Guys, it's your boy Dali or that Forex Kid on TradingView. What we're going to be looking at today is how I use trend lines. And in this video, I'm going to be very detailed about exactly how I use trend lines. I try my best to keep things simple because I always want to be able to make a trade without confusing myself or having to think too much. So trend lines, if you guys remember in mathematics class, when you're on a graph, which we are on right now, I'm gonna reiterate that the y-axis plots price, the x-axis plots time. So when you're plotting on a graph, you need at least 2 points. So the same rule applies to trend lines. When you're drawing a trend line, you want on the candlestick, I'm gonna zoom in. Again, we have the body and then we have the wicks. If you did not watch my video on candlesticks, you could go back there and watch it, so if you don't have any idea of what I'm talking about. But you have the body, you have the wicks. It's very much a good thing when you're drawing trend lines to have it touch as close as possible to the body. But if it goes right through the wick, it's very much okay, because what you're trying to get is you're using information from the candlesticks to plot a trend. So immediately, and it's going to come naturally for you guys over time, I could already pick areas out where the trend line can possibly be. So I have one area here. I'm just putting this line so I could so you can see immediately the areas that I'm seeing and then I'm seeing here. So I think that there can be a trend line there. This is the forward time frame. Every candlestick is 4 hours. So boom. So I'm gonna try to draw a trend line on TradingView. You look for a trend line. It's called a trend line on most platforms. And then right, so guys, your trend line cannot go through price like this. It doesn't work like that. You can't just draw it any way you want. It doesn't just cut right through. What it does is it usually goes alongside price, right? So you see I'm trying to get it alongside price, and I adjust it away from the candlesticks. It doesn't cut through the candlesticks. It goes basically alongside the candlesticks, and it just tries to touch. The closest you're gonna get to is, for me, the body. The body again, you see we got it touching the wick, and that's fine. Down here we have it touching the wicks again, but you could bring it closer to touch the body. So now this is this trend line. You want to always extend it. There is a function which I can show you. Let's see. Right, there's a function. There's a function where you see you could extend it to the right. So when you extend it to the right, it's gonna go as far as possible. I don't always have that function on, but it's good to have, because you don't have to continuously drag it all the way across, because price is gonna keep moving up or down, and you're gonna have to adjust your trend line. So okay, so now another way to use trend lines is like this, right? I'm gonna come back to this a little later, but you draw it like this, and obviously when it breaks, when a candlestick breaks, you trade it to the upside. That's just showing you something that I'm gonna come back to in this video. But now I'm gonna just discuss what happens when you see a trend forming on a trend line. So you can see very clearly, let's see, up, you get this up, boom, up, boom, down, boom, up. And now in your mind you're thinking, okay, we have a trend there forming. So what happens if you get price coming back to this trend line? That's what it's there for. It's a possible area where you could get a reversal. And again, a reversal is price comes back, it goes to that area. If it goes up, that's a reversal. You're looking for areas where it could possibly reverse, and then boom, up again. So that would be how you would use the trend line. It forms a possible area for you to get reversals. And another way you could use a trend line is if price breaks the trend line, you look for it to fall, right? So with trend lines, what you want to do is whenever price breaks a trend line on any time frame, what you could do is on if you're on the 4 hour time frame, the daily, whatever, and it breaks your trend line, what you do is you wait until the candlestick closes. Remember, a 4 hour candlestick is going to close at the end of 4 hours. So if you have a 4 hour candlestick closing outside your trend line, then that is confirmation that it could possibly go in the direction that you believe it's going to go. So if it breaks the trend line, meaning it is breaks means it comes under, then it could be confirmation that it's going lower. Now, if you have a candlestick that closes in this area right off the trend line, then it could be a confirmation that it's about to go up, right? So you look for that. And those are like the basics of this type of trend line, which is basically a uptrend line. I'm going to call it an uptrending trend line, right? So now I'm going to call this one a falling trend line. You saw me draw it earlier a bit prematurely, but I'm going to explain exactly what it is for. I'm going to leave this trend line. So again, you always want to look for 2 points. So 1 and then 2. So you have a very good trend line right there. Always try to adjust it just to be neat, you know, right? So it's touching the body, but it's not going straight through the body. It's touching the body, going through the wicks. I'm gonna zoom in and show you guys that. You notice how I bring it as close as possible to the actual body of the candlestick, but it doesn't go through the candlestick. It touches the as close as possible, as much as I could get it towards the body of the candlestick. That's what I do, right? So now these are real-time patterns working in the market. So now you see here, this is a 4. You see what happens. I'm gonna highlight that area. You see what happens right here when this candlestick closes outside of the 4 hour. What happens? Price goes up. So this is a good example of how you trade that. You get you have the wedge. This is called a wedge, by the way. There's a bunch of names for it, but it's when you get price intersecting like this. You have an uptrending line and you have a downtrending line. You call that a wedge. It's more like a ascending bullish wedge, right? And what happens is that it's a signal that price is possibly gonna go higher. So you have that candlestick closing out there, and then boom, you have price skyrocketing there. And why do you guys think price skyrockets like that? Because what you have to recognize with these patterns that are continuously being made in the market in all these different asset classes, this is actually human beings seeing these patterns and actually buying or selling into these patterns. So the more you get accustomed seeing these patterns, is the better it's going to be for you, right? And this is just basically like the basics, because there are a whole bunch of different ways and tips and tricks you could, you know, do this. But this is just like a basic video. I'm probably going to do another video, more intricate tips and tricks when I see certain charts match up. But for now, that's it from me, boy, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video.